My 2020 was one filled with spiritual enlightenment, knowing that God favored me and trusted me. It was a normal day. I awakened, I got up, I was itching out of control. I had this rash that had covered my body, so I went to the hospital. They sent me back home after they tested me for COVID. I was negative. The rash got worse and it started itching more, so I went back to the hospital a couple of days later, and they were like, your blood pressure is low, so we're going to admit you, after they tested me again. I got in the hospital. They still couldn't figure out what the rash was. They tested me. Nothing. I was dehydrated. They couldn't figure out why. So they decided to keep me overnight. So I stayed in Huntsville Hospital, Madison for one night, and it got worse. And so they were like, we're not equipped for trauma. So they sent me by ambulance to Huntsville Hospital Women and Children Center. I got there. They sent me to have a CAT scan, and I had blood clots in my lungs. As time progressed, I went on and I had the surgery where they removed the blood clots from my right side of my lungs. I went in, I had the emergency surgery, I came back out, everything looked to be good, and God had favored me. The next day, I literally coded. I could not breathe, and I lost oxygen of 60%. The nurse carried me on the tram across to the main hospital, where we went downstairs to have another CAT scan done, and the doctor and his surgeon team who had been there, who had done the surgery the day before, they just happened to be there practicing for surgery. And he happened to know my nurse. And he looked at the nurse and he said, I'll take her right now. If I don't, she's not gonna make it. Sometime during that time, I also had a heart attack. And they put me basically back together. I was on 60% oxygen, and so they took me back upstairs, this time to Huntsville Hospital Main ICU. At that time, the doctors were very leery, but there were several First Church members there who prayed for me, and the whole church prayed for me. Oakwood University prayed for me. I received prayers nationwide. At that time, when the nationwide prayers came, I started to feel better. I was in ICU, and I started to recover well. And just the prayers of everyone, God was faithful. A week later, I was up and walking, and now I am back at work. I am not 100% recovered, but the doctors say everything looks good, and I'm glad that I had the experience of knowing that you can trust God. Even when you can't see his hand, you can trust his heart.